Was it me, or was Isaac Newton hot?
He was, wasn't he? He was so hot. Oh? Was that who I am now?
Well, it was never that far from the surface, mate.
Welcome to About Time, a Doctor Who podcast. I'm Stephen, and I've been a Doctor Who fan since 2005, and usually I'm joined on the podcast by my boyfriend Ben. Today, however, I'm joined by a special guest, Ianto, to discuss the second 60th anniversary special, Wild Blue Yonder. And quite frankly, it's about time. Hello, welcome back to About Time, and welcome Ianto.
Hello.
Hello, thank you for joining me.
Nice to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
So, yeah, I mean, you and I have kind of got to know each other in the last year, through the podcast, I guess, because you started listening to it and then got in touch, and we just started talking about Doctor Who stuff.
Yeah, like big old nerds.
Exactly, yeah.
It was similar sort of ages, so I guess we sort of had a similar intro to the show, similar sort of time, yeah.
But yeah, we're finally here, the 60th anniversary specials.
About time. Thought it was never going to come at one point.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. Especially because they were filmed and wrapped so long ago.
Ages ago, and they're still already on season 2 now, and I think Russell's already writing season 4 or something. I was rattling through it, which is awesome.
What was I going to say? I was basically just going to ask you for a one-sentence idea of your thoughts on the Star Beast before we move on to Wild Blue Yonder.
Oh, I've not really thought about that 'cause I've just been focusing on this one so much. I really, really enjoyed it. It had a lot of the classic. It felt very much like Russell was back. There was the music, there was obviously all same characters, but it was just even within the first couple of minutes. I was watching it with a friend, and they were like, "This feels like it used to," and it was funny, it was deep, it was great. I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Plus Disney money, it was looking awesome as well.
Yeah, that's something that is just, it's very surreal, really, isn't it? Kind of seeing Doctor Who look that good.
I'm used to the shots of the Catnams falling down the lift and terrible stuff like that. It's weird. It's weird also to see it with older eyes than without the nostalgia and still enjoying it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Because I did wonder as the years went by after Russell's era ended, and I was sort of getting less and less enjoyment from the show. I was just thinking, is it just me getting older and not sort of liking it as much for that reason? But I don't think that is the reason necessarily, because this shows.
And that's the thing I was most worried about. It was the only thing I was worried about was with Russell coming back was is it just nostalgia that I like it for? It's nah, still enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, nostalgia's a big part, but. There's more to it.
It lets us overlook the questionable bits, but at the core of it, it's still great.
Yeah. Okay, so you're here to talk to me about the second special, Wild Blue Yonder. The first question I have to ask you is, what did you think of the Carol Ann Ford cameo?
She's great, wasn't she? Just right and sneaking in at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, if any of you didn't notice that, go back and watch really closely. She's there.
She's one of the people fighting the chefs, I think. Or was it her van that blew up?
Everyone was I mean, even I had a sort of feeling that there was going to be some sort of... Because there was so little known about this. I mean, do you want to talk about this whole secrecy thing?
Secrecy, yeah, because Russell said, didn't he? He was like, was it a good idea? Did we overhype it?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. It was initially the one I thought that would be sort of the middle episode. It's not introducing it. It's not the conclusion. It's the middle one. And then the less and less information we got about it, I was like, well, this is the one I'm the most excited about now. So I'm hoping that people didn't have too much anticipation for it in the wrong way, and that be a bad thing. But no, I kind of just took it for what it was, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, it was good. I do think. I very much understand his reasons for keeping things secret.
Oh, totally.
Because as he explained, it is quite a simple story when you boil it down.
You'd spoil it too easily.
Exactly,
I don't know what you could put in the trailer.
But having said that, I think the way that they kept saying, oh, you know nothing about this one, and then releasing the cast list with redacted on it and stuff, I feel like they were trying to sort of hype people up. I mean, Russell knows the fans. He knows what conclusions people are going to leap to.
What they'll do, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm personally a person that I try never to watch trailers as much as I can anyway. I mean, I did with this, but I prefer not to know. And I do wish we didn't have much information because everything, you get too much. So I did really enjoy it for that. I hope he continues that to a degree.
Yeah, I felt that as well. I felt going into it knowing nothing, it was a great sort of way to experience the story.
Yeah, and because so all of it was on in studios, other than the bit at the end, they could get away with doing that, which is fantastic.
Yeah,
they didn't have to risk fans leaking stuff and peering around corners and things. So yeah, I hope they do that a bit more.
Yeah, and I liked the fact that it was very sort of stripped down and like there's hardly any cast in it. There's a lot of empty space. It's like it's a character piece, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and you did feel that emptiness and in a good way, which I really enjoyed. And I liked just the set design was beautiful, like so much detail.
Yeah,
and all those little pipes with the bubbles going through everywhere.
Yeah,
and
amazing.
Those screens, and it was just all so beautifully put together.
Yeah. What did you think of the visuals of like the CGI environment, like the long corridor and stuff?
That's my one. I'm not so. Yeah, it was like 95% there, and it would have looked incredible. It was just something slightly off.
I know what you mean.
It's just such a shame, but it didn't detract too much from me. I still enjoyed it, but it was just something slightly. I'm not sure why as well, because shots like the exterior shot of the ship looked awesome.
Oh
that
God,
yeah,
and the explosion at the end. I was in my head. Great. I was comparing that to the Earth blowing up in the end of the world.
I was just going to,
compare that to that, and it's like it just looks, a world apart.
Yeah, I don't understand why. I don't know if it's just because they obviously had to composite in David and Catherine, whether that is what did it with the slight lighting, or I don't know. But I thought it was really good compared to the likes of stuff we've had back in his original run. It was a million times better.
I feel like it looked kind of uncanny, a bit like it as added to the unsettling nature of it.
That's a good point, actually. On my second rewatch, it wasn't anywhere near as obvious to me. I guess watching it with a different eye on the second go, but
the way I feel about this episode, really, I think, is that if it was an episode within a regular series, it would be, it'd be a great episode. Like it would be right up the top there. But with it being one of 3 anniversary specials, it seems the most kind of run-of-the-mill in a way. Like it's like, even though it's not run-of-the-mill, like it's like, as he said, it's like nothing they've ever done before. But it does feel like kind of like a standard episode, like in the middle.
It does feel very much, towards the end, sort of episode 8-ish of an old run of just a weird one they throw in towards the end. I didn't understand. As much as I enjoyed it, I didn't quite see how it's an anniversary one. No,
I know what you mean. Yeah.
It just felt, very much like a normal story. But I'm hoping that means next week's is going to be the big, big, big one. Yeah. And that's where he's sort of throwing all the bells and whistles at.
Yeah. And I mean, there's many arguments and discussions about, the fact that we've just had the BBC centenary and Power of the Doctor with lots of sort of cameos and look backs and stuff. And that, to do that again would maybe not work. Yeah. But
it's a bit odd.
But
such a run of them. Yeah, it's strange. But I guess that's just timings. That's how it had to work.
Yeah. But having the Doctor and Donna back is enough of a celebration in my book. That's
true. And they were on fire in this one. They were just the partnership was brilliant. Yeah. And it always shows to me how good an actor is when they're playing 2 different roles in the same scene.
Yeah.
You can really see how good they are at playing something else.
Yeah. What did you think about that whole, the whole kind of premise then of like the doubles?
I really enjoyed it. I do wish that they'd maybe referenced Midnight and sort of said, because I like to think that it's some sort of sister race or something to them, maybe, somehow related to them. I would like a little throwaway line, but no, I thought they were really interesting. It was a very strange mix of funny and scary.
Oh, yeah.
I obviously am not a 8-year-old child. I don't know what they would have thought, but I can imagine it being terrifying to some to the kids that were watching. And I was quite into horror, so I really liked it for that.
So the moment that just lives rent free in my mind is David Tennant with his massive hands, like dragging them along the floor. Like that's the moment on first viewing. I was like, what am I watching?
Where have we gone? What's going to happen?
Because he was acting so like seriously and like menacingly at the same time while just dragging these massive hands along the floor. I was like...
At what point did you realise that it wasn't them? Initially.
The first one where the doctor went in and crouched down, I totally believed it was him.
Yeah.
But then obviously when you see like the real doctor is doing something different, and I felt like Catherine Tate's performance was a little bit more different. I felt like hers was a little bit more like, I'm not Donna, I'm something else. Whereas the doctor in the first one was very, very similar, I thought. Yeah, so I think it was around that moment.
My friend shouted it out quite quickly, but I just assumed it was one of those, it's a clever editing thing of just showing what they're both doing to
I see.
Save time, and they're just overlaying the two, like she'll do her bit wander in and then they'll do that bit, and they're just smushing them together as like a clever editing trick.
I never even thought of it like that.
I fully took that was just one scene after the other.
Yeah, no, I think the tip-off for me was Catherine Tate's performance as the non-Donna. The nonna.
I think I was just listening too intently on his little speech about the TARDIS that I didn't really notice, which I really enjoyed. I love that idea of like what happens off screen, and it felt. I don't know if you watch Rick and Morty, but it felt very much like a story they might have as a little side plot or something that's going on, and this whole race that builds up and then collapses down around the TARDIS, and it just flies off and does its thing.
Yeah,
never even noticing in the like blink of an eye to the TARDIS is thousands of years to some race.
Yeah, I do love that idea actually. Yeah. By the way, what do you think about the new title sequence and theme?
I love it. The way it sort of like surfs along the void and the vortex, and it's beautiful. I hope it stays. I've heard talk that it's just for the anniversaries, but I really like it. And I love the music, the little piano-y bit in the end credits as well. It's beautiful. I wasn't 100% sold when I first heard it on the what do they call it? The 60th.
The concept.
The concept. That's the word I'm looking for. I wasn't 100% sold on it then. Yeah. But I do love it in place.
Yeah, same here really. It's grown on me a lot. The only thing I can't bear now is in the closing version. The only way I can put it is it sounds like Rolf Harris has been brought back from the dead. And it's
I was going to say there's
breathing thing.
A weird breathy thing. Yeah. I didn't notice it the first time, but last night when I was rewatching
I just can't with it. It's like going on. Like
it is odd. I don't understand it. Yeah. And I never noticed it until last night. I'm assuming it was in the last one as well. I never noticed it.
Yeah.
Although I guess last time I was probably talking, I was watching with my friend and we probably just talked over it to a degree.
Yeah.
It was strange.
Very strange.
They've already cut down the Universe intro thing.
Yeah, I'm glad, to be honest. I get a bit sick of it.
It. I really liked it.
I'm like, we don't need to have it on everything. Like, do you want to talk about the Isaac Newton scene?
I'm wondering how important that's going to be in future, because it feels an odd scene to have in there.
Very odd.
Yes, it added a nice little bit of comedy and stuff to open it, but it also didn't really seem to have any bearing on the story otherwise. So I'm like, why was it in there? So I'm wondering whether it's going to have a thing, or whether it's just going to be the Mavity thing is just going to be this ongoing joke indefinitely. Part of me can totally see him doing that, and that's just there forever now.
It irritates me from like an etymological point of view, because it makes absolutely no sense. But it also ties into the Children in Need special with the Doctor like inadvertently having an impact on the design of the Daleks and stuff like that, and the words that he was feeding that guy.
That's true.
I'm wondering if there is something going on with like the sort of ripples that he's causing.
That could be true. Yeah, I never thought of it like that. Just knowing Russell, there's so much I'm expecting to get pulled together at some point, whether it's next episode or at the end of season 1 or wherever.
Yeah,
I still feel like he's sprinkling little things to come.
Yeah, he's definitely good at drawing threads together.
Speaking of the bit at the beginning, I'm very much enjoying the new sort of excitable TARDIS dancing about and sort of spinning around and doing stuff that I guess they probably wanted to do before but just didn't have the money for. Like you had it occasionally in like The Runaway Bride or whatever, you'd see it flying around and spinning about.
Oh right, yeah,
I'm enjoying it just sort of slamming into walls or spinning about in the air or whatever. I'm very much enjoying that rather than just standard. Here it is, like fading out land.
Okay, yeah, I know what you mean. I quite liked in the Isaac Newton scene the way that it was sort of wobbling in the tree.
Yes. Can number 3 was just camera shaking it about.
Yeah, and just the fun that they have, even though they were in a bit of a disaster, like taking the moment to have the joke about you can appreciate the gravity of the situation. Yeah.
I do. I don't understand why the scene was there, but I really enjoyed it anyway. And I'm glad it was.
So why? Maybe I'm just being thick, but why was the TARDIS playing that song, Wild Blue Yonder?
That was a note I've got to ask. Why it plays music now for no real reason. So I heard someone think that because the whole concept of the episode would be if they hadn't landed, everything would have gone fine. Like the pilot's plan would have gone to plan, the ship would have blown up, everyone would have been happy. But they'd landed without the TARDIS is sort of, it's always, I take you where you need to go or whatever they say in The Doctor's Wife. The TARDIS didn't really have any control over it at that moment, and that it was playing some battle music as a bit of a warning.
Okay, yeah.
Which I can sort of see. I don't know if that was true, but I kind of like that as a vague reason.
Yeah.
I did enjoy the bit of the fire all pouring out. Although I was joking with my friend that when he opens the door to look in to see the damage, I was like, "We've got the budget, but not that much budget. We're not going to show. We'll just show his face and he'll shut the door."
Yeah.
We're not throwing a lot of like soot all over this brand new set that we've just built. It's bad enough that you made us blow it up last time.
Yeah, and I mean, on that point, like, I've seen people asking, why did the TARDIS change when it did? Like,
there's no real reason for it.
Would have made, I mean, I know practically, like, they got rid of Jodie's set, but like, it kind of would have made more sense to keep that for the Star Beast and then have this be the moment that we get the new one.
That would have made a lot of sense, actually. Yeah, I find it odd. I'd have thought they take it down, but I'd assume it just goes in storage in bits or something. You'd think they could have rebuilt enough of it.
Yeah.
That it would be serviceable just for that one scene that they break it.
Yeah. I absolutely loved the Doctor calling Isaac Newton hot.
I mean, he was. Yeah, I wondered about that. Like, well, I'm loving Russell just going kind of, I don't care anymore. I'm just going to say what I want to say.
Yeah. Yeah, because if that had been in 2005, that would have broken the internet.
Was it you saying in the Sarah Jane one about if he puts the hot in the script, then they have to cast a hot person?
Yeah, 100%. It's so true. It's so true.
Yeah.
But it's just funny that the Doctor was so like, because he was saying, "Oh, is that the sort of person I am now?" But maybe he wasn't talking about fancying men. It was just being vocal about fancying anyone.
Yeah,
like because he's not normally.
No, he has been a lot more open this series with 14. Like before, he would be often, if Donna was breaking down, he'd just sort of be stood off at the side looking stern or like, but now he's much more like holding a hand and making her feel better, which is really nice.
Yeah, and kissing her hand as well. Yeah, like
you can very much see what he's gone through with between 10 and now. Like, he's much more compassionate.
Yeah, I really believe that Jodie came before him, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
Yeah. Which I think is really nice.
And he's not got the shadow of the Time War quite so close by anymore. And
yeah. I also loved how when the TARDIS left, they were panicking and they kind of had that row, which we'd never really seen before. Like I remember Fires of Pompeii, they had that kind of, argument about whether they should evacuate them or not. Mm-hmm. But this really kind of made them feel like equals in a way.
Yeah. And it was nice that although they had a bit of a rant, he didn't like outright blame her totally. Like he was kind of not wanting to make her feel bad.
Yeah.
He did a little bit, but you could tell that was just sort of not what he was wanting to say.
Yeah. I do feel maybe more than 10 and Donna. I feel like 14 and Donna do kind of feel like equals.
Yeah.
In that way, which is...
Yeah, and the
nice.
chemistry is even better than it was before. Like,
yeah.
You can clearly see they're just having the best time making it.
Yeah.
And having a whale of a time with it.
And watching Unleashed, like,
yeah,
whenever they're talking next to each other and they just fall into fits of giggles.
Yeah.
It's so heartwarming.
It really is. I saw an interview with Catherine Tate and she said, oh, it's literally the best job she'd ever had.
Yeah.
Like, no comparison. It's like, oh.
Yeah. It must be, to work so closely with someone that you get on so well with like that, it must be a joy.
It really must be. And considering how many times you must have to work with someone you hate and pretend to like. It must be so draining. So, yeah, it must be so refreshing.
Yeah. I love that bit where she couldn't understand how it's changed to Mavity when she was like, well, I was just there and I said gravity, and he was trying to explain the whole time thing to her and he was going on and she went, they're gonna have to cut this down a bit, aren't they?
Like an old school teacher, yeah. There with the air conditioning thing up her shirt.
Oh my god. It's hot. Better up the back.
Oh, bless her.
Yeah, I love her.
Yeah, I'm so glad we've got her back as well, because the first time we watched it, I was really not a fan of her to start with. I think I just didn't really like Catherine Tate. It wasn't the character, and I therefore just projected this thing. And by the end of the series, I absolutely loved her. But it's nice to get this where I can go in knowing I like her and not have to like battle through and like see her for the character. And it's not that I don't like Catherine Tate. I just didn't like a couple of her characters back
in the day. Yeah.
Then, it just wasn't my type of comedy. But no, I think she's fantastic.
Yeah. Speaking of not your type of comedy, I would imagine that Miranda Hart's comedy is not your type of comedy. Am I right?
Probably not so much.
Because my next note was about when the Doctor was trying to get some reaction out of Jimbo. And he was going, Fenslaw, like saying that word over and over. It reminded me of Miranda. Oh, it's gone weird.
Oh, the little robot. He was cute. Bless him.
He was cute, yeah.
I wish he did a little bit more in it, but he was really cute.
He looked a bit like... I can't decide if he looked like a hammerhead shark or like, what's his name? The villain in Monsters, Inc.
The villain in Monsters? Oh, the
big
crab
like
guy.
Spider guy, crab guy,
yeah.
Yeah, with like the 3 eyes.
Yeah, I can see that. I've heard a lot of people say that he's Marvin from Hitchhiker's Guide.
Oh, that too, yeah.
Yeah, which someone pointed out, being that Douglas Adams wrote for Who back in the day, was that a nod? I imagine it probably wasn't, but you never know.
You never know, yeah. Actually, it did have a the whole thing had quite a Hitchhiker's Guide vibe.
Russell said in an interview he'd drawn inspiration from a Tom Baker episode.
Oh yeah, Underworld,
what was it? Underworld? Yeah, I've not seen it yet.
No, neither have I.
I'm working my way through. I'm in Pertwee at the moment.
Yeah, unless it was because I listened to the official podcast and I think they referred to Underworld being another story where it was basically Doctor and Companion interacting with a background that wasn't really there. And it was like, This was the early days of such technology and it was really bad.
I think they did. I was really impressed with the doubles and like the cuts and things. So you would see the faces of people in the same shot and like how they did that. It's come on leaps and bounds since the likes of Journey's End when you had them. And like, I mean, it still looked decent then, but
yeah,
it's so much like they're not having to ration out the shots in the same way.
Yeah. I'm thinking of like, you know, where they fake a shot so that it looks like it's all one take, but it's actually not. And so you've got Donna running out of the room, and then the camera flips to behind her, and then you see the other Donna coming out, and it's like, yeah, that's really clever.
Yeah, it was really clever. They must have a lot of fun planning those sort of shots.
Yeah.
And like, how can we do this? And I did wonder if one of those interactions where you don't know who's who, they'd have one where it was just the two not things, and that they don't even know who's who. Oh,
that would have been interesting.
Could have been really interesting.
Yeah.
And like they're both arguing, and then the real ones are arguing against each other, and don't believe the one's real.
I actually loved all that stuff though, just like because this is the thing for me that it's a trope I feel that's been used before, but like this thing of if you're fighting against someone who is an exact copy of you and like knows everything you know, Like, how can you possibly outsmart them? Like, it's such a captivating idea.
I was wondering how they were going to do to work out, because when you watch it on a watch back, it's almost obvious which one's which, because I guess but you can watch out for little things, which is really cool. But the first watch round, I didn't have a clue.
Yeah.
Well, it was really interesting seeing and using that as a way to talk about the past and things was really interesting.
Yes.
And how just one or two lines of dialogue could make me think entirely differently about Flux, for example.
Interesting that the fake Donna knew about the Flux and Timeless Child and stuff, and then real Donna claimed not to.
That was going to be one of my questions. Do we believe that she doesn't know? But I don't suppose, unless she just doesn't want him to think that he's a burden to her if she admits to knowing it. Personally,
I think I do believe her, because I think it makes sense that she says, like, it's there, but she can't access it almost. But maybe this other being, it wasn't a problem. It could access it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's interesting that he's not shying away from Russell. This is keeping the Flux in canon. And I mean, I know there was never talk of him not doing, but to actually address it rather than just sort of move on and we'll just sort of forget that it happened.
Yeah. I guess the last, in the modern show, whenever we've had a new showrunner, they have kind of done a soft reboot and kind of not wanted to call back to the previous era much. Whereas, like you say, he's not afraid to do that, which I think is good. Yeah.
Although I took it that it was significantly more than about half the universe that got destroyed. But I'll take it for what it is.
Yeah. Do you know, I'm almost wondering, I don't want this to happen, but part of me is wondering, do you remember how in the end of Flux, Tecteun was talking to the Doctor about come over to this other universe, leave this universe behind? I'm almost wondering if that is like, this universe has been so screwed up, like there's only like a tiny fraction of it left. They now call it Mavity instead of Gravity. Like, it's completely fucked. Like, let's just go to another universe and start again.
I mean, it could be a story.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like he'd need to do, if he was going to do that, and it feels like a lot of work to do, it would have to be in the next episode. And have a clean slate for Shooter taking over.
And I feel like there's already a lot. There's already a lot in the next episode.
Yeah, I'm wishing the next episode was longer. I feel like there's going to be a lot packed in. But I'm very excited for it. Yeah,
I did feel with the Star Beast, it was a lot to pack into an hour, and it was very fast paced. And then with this Wild Blue Yonder one, it was a lot, it was a lot more time to breathe. And
yes.
So kind of two extremes there.
And I guess that's maybe why he did do it like this and have the middle episode as not as big and fanfare-y, so that he could have room to have a bit of exposition and a bit more character growth and things.
Yeah. Something that kind of irritated me about when he translated their numbers.
I got a bit confused about that. Oh, sorry, that bit. Yeah.
Yeah, the symbols on the screen. He said, if I can translate their basic 1 to 10, like he can work out their number system. But humans have used a base 10 number system because we've got 10 fingers, basically. And it all stems from that. Whereas a creature that doesn't have 10 fingers, I don't think would have any need to or reason to choose that system. So, maybe I'm just being a real nitpicky nerd. But if Ben was here, what he'd be saying? Oh, for God's sake, Stephen. It's a TV show.
But I did love on the Unleashed how they talked about how they developed the language
hooves.
And things.
Yeah,
the hooves and the scratches.
Yes, that was really interesting.
That was really cool. That must be so interesting to have meetings where you just sit down and work out, right, we've got a whole new race and we need a ship to decorate and we've got to come up with a language for it and a style, and that must be a lot of fun and also quite difficult after several series. If you've been working on the show for 10 years, to come up with a new way of writing or whatever.
Yeah.
It's very tricky.
Yeah, and the horse head captain looked quite creepy.
It did look really cool though.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. I'm imagining if it was an earlier series, they'd have had a flashback or something, and you just seen this creature doing stuff. And I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad that was all you ever saw of that character.
Yeah. Do you know? Maybe this episode would have been even more kind of iconic if we hadn't had the Isaac Newton scene and we hadn't had the end bit you know, and literally David Tennant and Catherine Tate were the only cast members in the entire thing.
I was wondering that, yeah.
That, I don't know, kind of, it feels like having the beginning and end scenes almost take it away from that being that unique. But yeah.
But the end scene.
I mean, yeah.
Bless him.
I have no words.
He's so adorable. And
he is.
It's so sweet to get, because his last image ever with the Doctor was just like such pain and sadness. And it's nice for him to get to see that. Not have to keep all the secrets anymore.
Yeah. And he does that little, he had that funny way of putting his hand to his mouth, you know?
Yeah, and he just, yeah.
It's so, the feels. Oh. Yeah. It was so nice to see him again. I honestly wasn't expecting it in that episode.
I fully expected it in the last one.
Yeah. Yeah, and his cute little moments on Unleashed as well, where he was being talked to.
Yeah.
Saying, I'm 93, you know. Bless him.
Oh. That was a lovely scene, but then straight into cliffhanger of what's going on. I loved the music being like very Years and Yearsy.
I noticed that.
Laurie at the end.
Yes.
It was that sort of chanting choiry thing.
Yeah.
I assume he probably asked for something similar, but yeah, world's going to hell because a kebab van exploded. I like to think that it was almost a bit of a nod back to like in Stolen Earth, where the world's fucked. It was. Slide a roof tile off a building.
Oh, yeah.
That'll show it. And it's like, we'll have a kebab van blow up, but then we'll also show we've got budget and we'll crash a plane.
Yeah, I can't wait to find out what's going on.
I'm trying to avoid all of their videos that they keep posting. And
me too, actually.
You've given enough now.
Yeah.
But I did see one a minute ago that I'm quite happy about that showed the toy maker talking in a different accent to German. So I'm happy that he's not just going to be German for the whole thing, because I think that might be a bit
accent
weird.
Was it?
French.
Oh, so still some sort of European accent.
Yeah, but for the scene where he's dancing around in the street in the black tie, he was speaking in French. French accent anyway. So I'm glad about that. So I'm imagining he's just going to be sort of dipping about all over the place.
Yeah, should be interesting.
I very much enjoyed the Tennant licking things being back. I don't know what this is. Just have a lick of it.
Yeah, it gives me a lot of anxiety because it's like you don't know what that is, where it's been. Like
pulled this tray out of what looks like a dishwasher, and then you're just licking it.
And I did love his like fake out of like pretending that to be poisoned. And then being like, no.
No. Can't not say Back to the Future. I loved the little hoverboard joke with the TARDIS towards the end.
The TARDIS along.
Yeah. That's another way. Just little things like that. I just love those.
Yeah. That climax was very... I was very much on the edge of my seat watching that the first
time. I wouldn't have put it past him for him to actually kill her off like that.
My God, I was literally thinking, is this it? Is this fucking it for Donna? Like,
and you know what? I wouldn't have been mad. Like, I think that would have been a really interesting way of doing it. I don't know if you'd have done it in a 60th anniversary special where we're meant to be all about celebrate and stuff. But yeah,
I don't know how I would have felt. I think, but I did. In those few seconds, I was sold. I believed that it could be the end. It was giving that the same energy as in Turn Left when she's like, I'm half a mile away.
Yeah.
And she was like, you got the wrong one. Like, yeah. My God. Although it was very slapstick when he pressed that button and then the ramp just like lifted up and tipped her out. I feel like the way the phrase "my arms are too long" was used in the episode, it's kind of Moffat-esque, like trying to be the new catchphrase. You know, like the unsettling, like "who turned out the lights" or whatever.
Weird phrase that just gets repeated. Yeah, I did get a lot of Moffat-y vibes. I did wonder what it would have been like if he'd written it. And I think when I first watched it, my first watch through, I remember thinking how it would have been better if Moffat had written it. And then after a second watch, I was like, no, this is what it needed to be.
Yeah.
Like, I think the end might have been punchier in a way, like the revelation. But I still think overall, I like the character work and stuff that Russell's so good at. Much more. But
you're right. There is a lot actually. Like I was just reminded of the bit where Donna sees herself and she's like, "I look quite good," and like that's a very Moffat thing to say that. He probably would have done it. You've gone overboard with it and been like, you know.
Yeah. He said something very inappropriate. Yeah.
But yeah.
But speaking of inappropriate, David Tennant running down the corridor, his trousers fit him far too well. It's not fair.
You mean when he's on all fours?
Well, it was just a lot of shots from behind.
Oh, the running, yeah. Yeah. The all fours was weird.
It was.
It's
like very that whole Uncanny Valley thing of it just looked.
It is. It's very nightmarish
in a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah. It worked perfectly for it.
Yeah, and it was obviously very animalistic, like, and it just reminds you that they're not who they look like.
It's another one of those like Midnight, where it's just we don't really know what this thing is, and I would almost say it's done better than Midnight. Because there's no reason why they can't be there. That was my only real issue with Midnight, that they stressed how much nothing can exist yet something does, which always kind of annoyed me a little bit. But I kind of like it in this one, that there's no real reason why they can't be there, but there's still a mystery.
Yeah, I was a bit confused on a rewatch when the fake Doctor grew his arms and went onto all fours, because I thought the Doctor previously had said that they were locking into shape, and like.
That's a good point. Was it that he changed shape, or was it he just started running on all fours?
Oh, it could have been that, but I felt like his arms got longer so that he could do it.
Maybe.
I don't know. I really liked that the Doctor did the typical Doctor thing of just trying peaceful conversation, which never works in any episode. But
there's a flaw in the plan.
But it's so in character for him to always give them a chance and just be like, let's talk.
Especially at the start, when he's like, well, they might be friendly. They might just before they grow and start chasing them.
Yeah.
Like, although that it obviously gives us another giant glass door dividing people. Which I'm curious as to what that's going to be. Like, I feel like that's building to something.
Yes.
A bit like Wilf and at the end of time. I originally thought that it was just a callback to that, but the fact that it's happened twice now.
Yeah. Well, we shall see. We've talked a little bit about the new TARDIS, but what do you think of the redesign?
I really like it. It's growing on me more and more. Having seen there's that little shot at the end of the next time with Shooty in it, and I just like that it's slightly different lighting and a bit more set dressing. I think that was all that I was lacking, was just sort of a bit of stuff kicking about. But I think it's beautiful and so big, and like clearly they can do so much with it, and it's going to be really interesting to see it properly used, because we've not really seen it yet much.
Yeah, I think I'm still formulating my opinion, really. I don't hate it by any stretch of the imagination, and I definitely prefer it to Jodie's TARDIS. It's a very big control room, and it kind of makes me wonder, like, why does the control room need to be that big?
Need to be, yeah.
Yeah.
I would like some like little platforms and things with like a chair on and a pile of books, and like a little like if you went down underneath and there's a workbench with like bits of broken Cybermen and a Dalek.
Oh my god, yeah.
Plunger or something, like where he's been just sort of tinkering away.
Yeah. Or
where the walls are a bit blackened and stuff because he's having experiments and things.
Or things like they had in the Hartnell era, like the food machine and like the fault locator and stuff.
And the giant, all sorts of bits of kit that they just bring in for one episode that would be amazing but would never be used again.
Yeah.
Because I think there was one that would predict the future and all sorts that they would they had. But yeah, I kind of like it a little bit like that underneath area from Matt Smith's first one, where he had like all the wires and things hanging, and he'd just go and tinker with stuff. And I wish I had a little bit more of that, but I like the base of it. I'd like to see them just build on a little bit.
I think it has lots of potential.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
It's like they built it and then the set dressers haven't been in yet.
Yeah,
but I'm trying to treat it as a bit like, in the same way that the Doctor doesn't really know why they are what they are at the moment, the TARDIS doesn't really know who they are either. So it's just a bit blank at the moment, and it doesn't know how to set itself up for them.
Yeah, I mean, so you know how Capaldi sort of inherited Matt Smith's second TARDIS and then sort of dressed it up with the bookshelves and things.
Yeah.
Do you think, did the TARDIS provide those bookshelves, or do you think he went to IKEA or whatever? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I imagine the TARDIS maybe went, you're a bit bored, mate. I'll give you some books.
Yeah.
But yeah, I very much see it as similar to that in that as much as I really liked Matt Smith's second TARDIS, I loved Peter Capaldi's one.
Yes.
It just lifted it to another level, and it was just so much more homely as well as spacey. At the end of the day, it's the Doctor's home. It shouldn't feel quite so clinical.
I know what you mean, yeah.
But I do love the console. There was a video they shared of close-ups of it and David tapping away on things, and it's just so well built. It's not just bits of stuff glued to a board and it was in his original run. He was saying by the end of it he only had one lever that worked anymore. That was that big lever that he's always pulling because it was the only one that was still working.
Yeah. I liked that, how it was kind of junkyard-esque and it was sort of cobbled together. But then I also, I can appreciate this one where it really looks like a piece of machinery that was designed cohesively. Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if we'll ever see we've got all those little round doorways that go off to different rooms.
I'm hoping we get something would they have put, I don't know whether I see it as a bit of an in-joke from everyone kicking off that in the original one it was just, we'll just walk off to the camera right and no one will see where this is going. He's like, right, well, fuck you can have 6 doors. And
yeah.
But it's so much bigger as well, not just the whole room, but the console feels a lot bigger. There's a lot more to it.
Yeah.
And it is physically bigger.
Yeah. Kind of harder for one Doctor to whiz around.
About it. Yeah. It's just a shame that you can never actually see it up close. So you can never see all the detail they've put in. And they've clearly spent a lot of time doing. So that's why I really loved that little video that they shared that showed close-ups of there's little keyboards with all Gallifreyan symbols on them all, and
oh, okay.
It's really cool because they were told that he likes buttons, so they just put shit tons of buttons in.
Yeah.
And they're currently awaiting some more Gallifreyan writing, and Tennant's it's approved by the High Council, is it, or something? And it's yeah.
I love that we have such an unapologetic fanboy as the Doctor right now.
He loves it, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He'll be quite happily doing it in his 90s if they ask him.
Yeah.
Not a problem.
Did you see that? I can't remember where it was, but this interview with him recently where he basically was like, I think it would be disingenuous to say that I'll never be asked back again. Yeah.
He'll be there until his last day, quite merrily just, yep, you want me? Yep, fine, I'll be there in an hour.
Yeah.
He's in his 90s, balding, they slap a wig on him and just off he goes.
Missing adventure from the year with the Master.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on this whole thing about that he invoked a superstition at the edge of the universe?
Yeah. Do we think that's how the Toymaker got out, so to speak? Obviously, the episodes the opening episodes don't exist, so I'm not really sure how those ones start. I've never actually, because I think the audio exists.
The audio does exist, yeah. So
I'm not really sure how the story starts and how they get into the Toymaker's realm.
No.
So yeah, that could be interesting. I'm very curious to see what they do with him, because from watching the one episode that does exist, it's a very goofy story.
Oh yeah,
with some weird side characters that just making them play hopscotch or whatever. And
that guy, I think it was a Twitter account called Out of Context Classic Doctor Who or something. Yeah, and it's just a clip of him with the slingshot firing it at Stephen, and he just goes "Yeah" as he does it. My biggest hope for the giggle is that character comes back. That's how David Tennant regenerates. He gets hit with a slingshot. Yeah.
I like the reference to the Hads coming back, because I've just been watching Classic, and I've not long since seen the Crotons one where they first referenced it. It's really interesting seeing those little tie-ins. But I do love that he included a little line as to why it isn't there, or why it doesn't just disappear every time.
Yeah.
Turned it off because I couldn't land anywhere.
Yeah.
I often think the writer must spend ages in every episode coming up with a reason as to why they can't just get in the TARDIS and fly away.
Yeah.
We'll just push it off a cliff, or it fell down a big hole, or whatever.
Yeah. To be fair, a lot of the time it's just because of a moral sense of we want to help these people, but yeah. But
sometimes there isn't a thing they can solve. It's just get out of the problem.
Yeah. Because you could rescue these people by going into the TARDIS as well, like
like
the
Satan
Impossible
Pit is the
Planet.
one.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, oh well, it fell down a big cliff. What a shame. I'm sure that won't conveniently resolve itself later.
He just stumbles into it and looks over his shoulder.
There
it is.
Upright as always.
Perfect timing.
Do you spot the little Thunderbirds reference?
I have no knowledge of Thunderbirds, so what was the reference?
When they get in the little Jeep and
Parker.
She calls him Parker.
Yeah,
and,
yes. Yes.
I didn't spot that on the first rewatch. Not the first watch, sorry, because I never watch it with subtitles, but on the second one I do, so there's loads of lines you don't notice.
Same, yeah. Also liked allons, as idiots say.
She's just having such a fun time.
Yeah. Again, quite convenient how they get out of that Jeep thing and then it falls to bits. So they can't use that again.
Oh dear. There was a little bit going back to the slightly wonky CGI when the thing came out the floor. It almost reminded me of, remember old school Scooby Doo or whatever, where it'd be, wonder which of these lockers will open. It's the one with it's completely differently.
Yes. I've seen that as a meme on online with like old Disney films as well, and it's like a character sort of running their hand along a bookshelf, like which book are they going to pick up? It's the one that really stands out, like.
Something that actually has a title written on it, and like
yeah. Speaking of Scooby-Doo, obviously we had that revolving wall bit as well.
Oh yeah, I love
so
that.
Ridiculous.
Really Scooby-Doo.
Oh, that was lucky, and then they come just back round again.
Yes. And I love that you also then see that the other guys have ran off.
Yeah, because they're. Yeah.
We don't have to run around 3 levels of the ship trying to find you again.
Yeah.
Do you hear the thing about, there's been a lot of people saying that they feel like this could have been the multi-doctor one. And like you could have had the not things taking previous faces.
Oh, yeah.
And so I don't quite know what I think to that. I'm glad they didn't, I think. On
it
balance,
cheapened it, I
can
think.
see it totally why they could have done.
Yeah, it could have done that easily, but I think, it kind of defeats it a little bit.
But I can totally see that it would have made sense that they would have got a bit confused by the Doctor.
Yeah.
Because they'd be trying to mimic him, but it might appear as something else because that is him. But... I
mean, I heard prior to the episode, I heard that there was potentially a shape-shifting villain. And,
oh, really?
And so my thoughts were like, well, if there are any cameos, that could explain it. Like you could have them take the shape of Amy Pond or Susan or whatever. But
he's really on the Susan.
Oh yeah. I've just claimed it as a running joke now.
And that woman that purely got the job for a name,
Susan Twist.
Really?
They were looking through like the list of actors that fit the description, and they saw that name, and they were like, "Yeah, she's cast. You don't even need to audition her." Yeah.
The casting person running over to Russell, be like, "You'll never guess who I found." This will send them into meltdown.
Yeah. Hilarious. I had another silly nitpick that, I don't really care about, but I might as well mention, which was, when the Doctor's talking to his doppelganger and he says, "I know that face and I know my expressions very, very well." I'm wondering, like, how does he know what his own expressions look like?
He spends a lot of time looking in the mirror.
Yeah.
I
suppose, the 10th Doctor, I can imagine he would have done that.
Maybe.
There's times between series when he didn't have a companion, just spending time looking in the mirror going, "Oh, yes!" And
I still didn't quite understand why, because to your point earlier, he understood their 1 to 10. But then why didn't he understand the 1 to 10 on the countdown?
Because he didn't know what they sounded like out loud. He only knew the symbols.
Oh,
so he knew like the numerals,
okay.
but not the words for the numbers.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll buy that.
But it still annoys me that he just assumes that they use a base 10 system. Because like Sontarans have got 3 fingers on each hand. I could see them using like a base 6.
6.
Yeah. That would be really cool. But yeah.
That makes sense. And the second word, Collis, the first time I heard it, I heard Khaled.
Oh,
and I was like, yeah. And I was like, oh God, are we on Daleks already when we've been told we're not getting them again?
I liked when he said he was trying to work out. He says Fensler and Collis could be a solicitors.
Oh, the internet can stop shouting that the Sonic wasn't used as a key for the TARDIS. Everyone was going mental about thinking that it was going to be a key because they'd seen shots of it in the key slot.
Yeah.
I quite like, though, they got rid of the TARDIS and the Sonic and like just stripped him down to...
Yeah, it makes it very
just
scary.
a clever person.
Because he doesn't have any of his tricks up his sleeve, like, yeah.
Except a backpack to shaker assault, apparently.
Oh, well, yeah.
So you might have a problem with that after the cup of tea one.
Well, I don't mind salt so much because you can have that in your pocket, but a cup of tea like that's hot.
Not those tight trousers, you can't.
Yeah. But, yeah. Although I stand corrected on the cup of tea thing because people have told me that apparently it's to do with the Daleks' energy weapons, like repurposing the energy. Because Missy alludes to that when she's explaining how he escaped or whatever from the Daleks.
Right.
So I think it's just, yeah. Anyway. Too confusing for me. I'm too thick for Moffat Who.
Are we all?
So on our social media, on our Instagram and Twitter, I put out a question for listeners for them to let me know what they thought of the episode. So thank you to everyone who got back to me about this. Ianto says, it was amazing. The visuals were a bit funky in parts, but I loved the tension and the horror vibe. Also had tears in my eyes with Wilf at the end. Ethereal TB says the story was meh, the production design gorgeous, and Tennant Tate as great as ever. That said, a meh RTD episode is still heaps better than a marginally good Chibnall episode. Shots were fired. Zachariah says, it's been a long time since I felt so much tension in a Doctor Who episode and absolutely loved an episode as immediately as this one. Sir Who says, it felt like a funnier spiritual successor to Midnight, but still had some good suspense. You mentioned Midnight.
Yeah.
It does have a similar vibe and the sort of the copying aspect.
Yeah, I kind of almost see it as that might be the same creature, but they've evolved a bit more and like now they have form.
Quite possibly.
But they still don't know what to do with the form. They're still trying to steal it off people.
Yeah, very creepy. I just have to read this comment from Blaine that says, rarely seen another episode that made me go, ooh, no, as much.
It very much got me the first like 3/4, like the mystery of it. Just like, why is this happening? What's going on here? I thought he layered up brilliantly.
Trev9F says they should have left it as not Donna at the end. I dare you.
Well, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I might have not been able to cope with that if they'd done that.
Or what if they'd ended the episode with the ship blowing up from outside?
Oh my god! You could never tell.
Well, just the episode ended there, and you don't know which one he took.
Yeah. Oh Jesus. No. Chris McKeever says, as brilliant as it was, I think they built up the secrecy behind it too much.
I can see that.
Which I definitely think, it's a common feeling.
If I think it would have worked really well if Russell had tweeted or something when the trailer came out and said, don't necessarily read too much into this. We're just wanting to keep one secret for you.
That's the thing. Yeah, like I wish there had been more of a caveat with it because the way that he talked about it was clearly designed to whip people up into a frenzy. Yeah. So yeah, it's as he mentioned on the podcast, like it's kind of possibly had an undermining effect in a way. But someone's comment, TBH Saxon just says, "Scary crab Tennant." That's the comment. So yeah, thank you. It's really great hearing all your thoughts. It's just so cool to have Doctor Who back on and be so excited about it again.
Yeah, I've not felt this excited about it in a long time. I've always watched it. I never gave up watching it, but I've not been this excited since series 5, maybe.
Yeah,
or maybe around the 50th. Around the 50th, I was very excited as well.
Yeah,
but it is awesome to have it back and have it back with a bang. I'm also very excited for when the third one airs. That presumably there'll be some form of a trailer or like that. I think it'll be the time when they'll give announcements about spin-offs and stuff.
Oh yeah,
potentially if there are any like greenlit and definitely going ahead.
Yeah, I was thinking more, a trailer for Shooty's
Christmas.
season.
Yeah.
But the spin-offs, I'm honestly not sure like how far along they are with that sort of thing. I'm sure Russell said recently something about they are coming, but like not that soon or something.
Maybe.
So I don't know. We'll see. As long as the main show is good, I think that's
Yes.
all.
Oh yeah, that's always the most important bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would like. I'm excited for a trailer. Hopefully, not one that's lots of shots of stuff. Not necessarily. I don't want talking. I don't want spoilers.
Yeah, we'll probably get a Christmas trailer, I guess, won't we?
Yeah.
But yeah, all this speculation is pointless because anyone listening already knows and has already seen it.
I hope it was good. I hope you enjoyed.
Yeah, I hope it was good. But yeah, I think that kind of brings us towards a close. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure talking to you. Yeah. Is there anything you'd like to plug or share or say to our listeners?
No. I don't do anything that exciting.
Well, you bake cakes.
I bake
Fancy cakes. They look amazing.
You can link that on the thing. That's about it.
Well, it's been a pleasure. Enjoy the giggle.
That's such a weird title. I don't know how I'm ever going to get used to it.
Yeah. You know how we like to end this podcast. Would you like the honour?
Oh, do I have the honour? Oh.
You do.
Stay fantastic.
Stay fantastic. Yay.
Woo.